One of the most urgent tasks, not only for our movement, but for our country, is to decisively defeat the climate hysteria hoax.
Donald Trump has used the first 100 days of his second term to take various steps to dismantle the previous administration's policies on climate change. So let's take a look at some of them. He pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accord. He declared a national energy emergency aimed at increasing production of fossil fuels. He reduced regulations on oil and gas production and announced he was suspending the leasing of sites for wind power. And he cancelled federal subsidies for electric vehicles. Well, for more, I want to welcome CNN's chief climate correspondent, Bill Weir, who joins us now from New York. Good to see you, Bill. So, it's kind of remarkable that in 100 days, Donald Trump has upended so much progress on climate change. Just take us through some of the key ones.
Well, if you looked at Project 2025, that blueprint written by his firmest supporters, environmental folks, people aware of the climate problem, knew it was going to be bad. No one imagined it could be this bad. That Doge chainsaw is working overtime in every sort of bureau, every government agency that is having a whiff of climate science, earth science, environmental justice, pollution, stripped away from the EPA to the Department of Defense and so on. You talked about pulling out of Paris, the climate accords. Really the theme of the day is the world is still moving on. The United States under Donald Trump is not only stopping, but trying to go backwards and just erase science in the most Orwellian ways. On Earth Day, he put out this White House memo, the title of which was frankly laughable. On Earth Day, we finally have a president who follows science and then lists the most unscientific actions, from saying he's championing sound forest management, which is really just unregulated logging, ending the forced use of paper straws without addressing the microplastics, the plastic pollution crisis, PFAS chemicals that are now in people's brains and organs around the world, cutting wasteful regulations that stifle innovation and create cost. Lynda, back in about 55 years ago, the first Earth Day happened because pollution in the United States became too horrible to ignore. And as a result of that, President Nixon, largely bipartisan Senate, passed the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Environmental Protection Agency. As a result, a lot of that pollution is gone, but the State of the Air by the American Lung Association just came out last week and said 50% of the nation still lives in air that gets a grade of F due to the pollutants in it. So imagine how much worse things had been without the EPA. Now all of that is gone. All references is gone, but industry, blue states, cities, those who are good faith allies in the fight against climate change are going to stay in this fight. But the U.S. imprint on this globally is greatly diminished as a result of Donald Trump's first 100 days. And who knows where it goes from here.
Yeah, it's certainly not looking good, Bill. And you have to talk about this bury your head in the sand mentality when you look at what Donald Trump did to fire 400 contributors to this National Climate Assessment Report, which was mandated by Congress, which was meant to allow for expert reporting to be given to lawmakers to take action on climate change. So without that reporting, what does it mean for the fight against climate change?
Well, it means it definitely stops. These are sort of 400 of the most elite earth scientists in the country that contribute to all different chapters on everything from clouds to rivers to glaciers, how the earth reacts as it overheats under this fossil fuel pollution. The fear is that not only it will stop, but an alternative pseudoscientific report will be put out by the United States, which is historically the biggest polluter in human history and has reaped the most benefits of that right now. So there's the moral argument about walking away from the cleanup entirely. But then there's the practical argument that trillions of dollars will be made in the post-carbon economy that the U.S. under Trump seems to be walking away from. Meanwhile, China is installing about 1 million solar panels a week at last reports. They've just approved 10 new nuclear power plants. So they're going ahead with the post-carbon economy at full speed. President Xi just had a meeting that included Lula da Silva, Brazil, the president of the head of the EU. Donald Trump was not invited. So not only do they know they're not going to take it seriously, they're no longer even invited to the discussions, and they will then dictate the terms of the new post-carbon economy.
Wow, the U.S. not even at the table. Bill Weir, good to have you with us. Thanks so much. And thank you for joining us. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Do stay with CNN. Bianca Goladriga has more of One World after a short break.